Are you feeling hopeless, cynical, jaded, or disillusioned? Well, you're not alone. These emotions have a way of creeping into our lives, leaving us feeling stuck, disconnected, and even helpless. But what if I told you that these feelings are not the end of the road? In fact, they could be the beginning of something transformative. In today's episode, we're diving deep into why these emotions arise, how they're rooted in judgment and negative thinking, and, most importantly, how you can shift out of them. I'll share these powerful steps to help you move from disillusionment to clarity, from jadedness to openness, and from cynicism to curiosity. So stay tuned. Welcome to Rise and Transcend, your go-to podcast for personal growth and self-improvement. I'm your host, Michelle O'Donnell, and in this podcast, I'll share with you tools that have helped me deal with stress and overcome anxiety. Also, I'll help you shift your mindset so that you can shed those beliefs that are no longer serving you, so that you can live a happier, more peaceful life. I'm so happy that you're here. Let's dive in. So let's dive into this subject of feeling hopeless, disillusioned, cynical, or jaded. We've all felt like this at one time or another in our lives. At times we can feel elated, positive, and hopeful for a period of time only so that we could drop back down into a dark hole again. And on this vicious cycle goes. I used to feel like something was the matter with me because I kept falling into despair over and over again. I thought I had a character flaw. I felt like a failure in life. Until someone once told me that it was impossible to keep that happy energy up at all times. We are humans with feelings and so many things to deal with. So much negative and stressful energy is being thrown at us in all directions on a scale that we were never meant to deal with in such a short time. So, of course, we're going to fall into despair while our bodies rest up and our minds have a chance to repair. This was such a relief for me to hear and to realize. It was a breath of fresh air. Here I was fighting and resisting the natural way of things once again. If you have ever felt like this, I would love to hear from you. I would like to hear how you have shifted out of this state. So feel free to comment or email me with your experiences. The email address will be in the description. So you can see that coming down from happiness is a natural cycle. In fact, it can be beneficial, and it does serve a purpose. So with that in mind, what if these feelings are lasting a bit too long? What if you yourself are noticing that this has gone on long enough and it's time to do something about it? Well, once you start to get sick of yourself, that is when the shift will start to occur. But first, how did we get into this state to begin with? 1 minute ago, you were happy and so full of hope for yourself in the world. What happened? Well, your rose-colored glasses fell off your face. That's what happened. And you got a glimpse of how the real world is again. Not everyone is learning what you are. Not everyone is on the level that you are, and maybe they never will be. The world once again looks like a hopeless mess. And what in the world can little old you do about it anyway? And then you think, well, what difference does it make, really? So can you guess what's happening here? Our feelings and our thoughts begin to change to negative cynicism. So, this is actually the root cause of our suffering. But where did these feelings come from? Cynicism, jadedness, and disillusionment don't come out of nowhere. They're often a response to unmet expectations, repeated disappointments, or a sense that the world isn't living up to what you had hoped it would be. But here's the truth. At the core of these feelings is judgment. Judgment of others, judgment of ourselves, and judgment of the world at large. Think about it. When you're feeling cynical, it's often because you've already decided, you've already judged that something or someone will fail you. When you feel disillusioned, it often is because reality didn't align with the story that you were telling yourself about how things should be. Judgment creates a lens that distorts how we see the world, making it harder to recognize the good, the possible, or the meaningful. Negative thinking feeds this cycle. Thoughts like, nothing ever works out, or people can't be trusted, or what's the point in trying? Those thoughts create a mental environment where hope and creativity cannot thrive. It's like planting a garden and then watering it with salt water instead of fresh water. That salt water represents negative thinking, and it's going to choke out your garden. Are you feeling stuck in the chaos of life? Well, imagine finding moments of peace and focus, even when life feels overwhelming. Discover the power of mindfulness with our all-in-one mindfulness toolkit. Designed for beginners and seasoned practitioners alike, this toolkit will help you to ease stress with simple techniques, with quick and practical methods to calm your mind and help you refocus. This toolkit will also help you integrate daily mindfulness by applying it effortlessly to your everyday routines, like eating or walking. You will also learn the science of mindfulness by exploring its benefits and how it transforms your well-being. And as a bonus, this toolkit provides guided meditations. Listen to soothing sessions that guide you step by step. For more information, you can find the link for the toolkit in the show notes. Take the first step towards a more balanced, present, and fulfilling life. Your journey starts today. Like I mentioned earlier, once you start to get sick of yourself and the way that you're feeling, that is when the shift will start to occur. So here are my 3 steps to shift out of this funk. Number 1, be the observer. The first step to breaking free is to step back and observe your thoughts without judgments. This means noticing when these feelings of cynicism, jadedness, or disillusionment come up, and then ask yourself a few key questions. You can ask yourself, when do these feelings show up? Is it in certain situations? Is it with certain people? Or is it during specific times of the day? And what are your thoughts running through your mind in those moments? Are they familiar patterns? How are these thoughts triggering your emotions and shaping your perspective? This is about creating a little bit of distance between you and your mind. You're not your thoughts. You're the observer of your thoughts. Imagine sitting in a movie theater and watching your thoughts play out on the screen. You're not reacting. You're simply watching. Think of your thoughts like clouds passing in the sky. Some are stormy. Some are light and fluffy. But none of them define the sky itself. The more you can observe your thoughts without getting caught up with them, the more freedom you'll find. Start saying to yourself, oh, that's interesting. That's interesting that I reacted that way. Or that's curious how that person or that other person responded in that way. Or what about obstacles? Instead of getting mad, be the observer and say, oh, this is very interesting. I wonder why this happened at this time. Actually, that is a very fun and interesting and insightful state to be in. So I encourage you to go ahead and be the observer of your life. Step number 2, reframe your thoughts. Once you've identified the thoughts that's driving your emotions, the next step is to reframe them. This doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending that everything is perfect. It's about shifting the narrative so it's more constructive, empowering, and aligned with growth. How do you reframe things? Well, you can challenge that judgment. Ask yourself, is this thought absolutely true? Is there another way that I can see this situation? And find the possibility. Instead of thinking, this always goes wrong, try, what's one small thing that I can do to make this better? And then shift your language. Replace absolute words like never and always with softer, more flexible phrases like sometimes or in this moment. If you catch yourself thinking people are just selfish, pause and reframe. Maybe the truth is some people act selfishly at times, but others show kindness and generosity. This small shift can open up a whole new perspective. Also, remember that sometimes obstacles and setbacks can be a way to keep you from danger or to be in the right place at the right time. Because, believe it or not, forces greater than ourselves can be watching out for us. Step 3, keep practicing. The final step is practice. Shifting your mindset is not a one and done process. It's a skill that grows stronger the more you use it. Every time you catch a judgmental or negative thought, pause, observe it, reframe it, and then you just have to keep doing this day after day. Think of it like this, like building a muscle. The more you lift the weight, the stronger you become. The more you practice observing and reframing, the more natural it will feel, and the less power those old patterns will have over you. Some days will be easier than others, and that's okay. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Each small shift that you make is a step toward a more peaceful, empowered way of living. It might not happen today, next week, or next year, but it will happen. One day you will realize that you do have free will, and you can change things, even if it's just your thoughts, your feelings, attitude, or perspective. And sometimes that's all we have, and that is enough. Cynicism, jadedness, and disillusionment can feel like a dead end, but they don't have to be. They could be a signal, a sign, a wake-up call that it's time to see things differently. By observing your thoughts and reframing them and practicing these shifts every day, you can transform these heavy emotions into clarity, connection, and purpose. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. We all face moments of doubt and frustration. What matters is how we respond. You have the power to change the story you're telling yourself and to step into a life filled with possibility and hope. Remember, you've got this. And if you need a little help and support, don't be afraid to reach out. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Rise and Transcend. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, comment, and leave a review. Keep your spirits high, your mind sharp, and never stop chasing those dreams. See you next Monday.